Hey everybody, this is Leslie Rohde. I'm unshaven today. Sorry about that. Anyway, failed to go live. Please try again. Are you kidding me? No, and then it says live.
It says live on my side too. Can you guys see us?
Yeah, I mean, it says live despite the error message. So not even gonna go. Yeah, not even gonna go there. So no telling. Yeah, it says we're broadcasting.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it says we're broadcasting. I'm just gonna go with we're broadcasting. Okay.
Yeah.
So here we go. My name is Leslie Rohde, one of the founders of Marketers Brain Trust. Dan feeds in black and white because he's a green kind of guy and wants to conserve bandwidth.
I'm economizing by not paying my color bill.
Exactly. And that's for the rest of you. So you can use your color and not feel guilty. Michelle Chan Sangthong is wasting lots of letters, because she's just not a green person at all.
But she's wearing a white shirt there, so that's saving on color, you see.
Well, it's because but it gets orange as it gets lower, so you see I've let the gravity affect the color.
That's weird.
Color does flow downhill, Leslie. I don't know if you remember that from physics class.
I'm an ombre.
It's the tequila sunrise. Okay, all right. Okay, great. So Dan has a presentation for us today, and that's always intriguing to see what he comes up with.
It's very brief, but it's something that I keep seeing coming up as we're working through the case studies with UTE. I was surprised by how many people are doing this, and so we've kind of come up with a routine that we can run that seems to function well for folks that are in this situation. And of course, this is applicable if you don't have this situation. The same things apply if you're not in this mystery situation that I haven't described yet. But yes, I'm expected to be fuzzy. I'm all kinds of fuzzy, Terry. So
yeah,
I don't think my screen share will be as fuzzy though, because it's shaved today, because it is not preparing for the Super Bowl of pirating. So let's see here. Green arrow says screen share.
Yeah, and I will present you to everyone.
You'll make me the presenter of presenting.
Yeah, which we always have to do twice, which I don't even get us started on that.
Okay. And then here I go. I'm going to hit start screen share.
Yeah, do that, and we'll get the hollow mirrors.
No, we won't.
Which we should really. Oh wow! Ooh, look at you! You figured out how to avoid the hollow mirrors. Good for you.
So I just went straight to the application here, and right here we're in a fabulous application called Omnigraffle, which those of you are on Macs or iThings can get your hands on. It is one of the more expensive apps if you get it on an iPad, but boy, if you like to work on an iPad, this is a full-featured version of a very good diagramming and drawing app. So the situation that we find a lot of people in, and I mean, by the way, Leslie, we have friends that have built up some pretty nice-sized businesses by starting with selling their products on Amazon. This is actually a pretty good play for people who are manufacturing, producing, sourcing their own branded products, is to actually take that show onto Amazon as a starting point, one that lets you market test without having to build out a store and all the other stuff. And by the way, it also gets you, I wouldn't say you're getting good product descriptions for free, but if you don't write good product descriptions, you will not do well on Amazon. And a lot of folks, of course, that we've seen have less success in the e-commerce space. One of the things that tends to be a good root cause of that is not writing good product descriptions, not doing good work with the photography, and not really learning how to make your case as to why someone would want to buy your product. But, of course, when these people find their way into trying to use paid advertising channels, it doesn't work like they'd like it to. That is to say, well, you can actually run Facebook ads and drive traffic directly to your products on Amazon, but that's not how you want to do it. And the reason why is that you don't, well, actually build up much of an audience that way, and you're going to have to pay a lot of money to reach a lot of people on Facebook to get a small number of clicks going to a product page that they did not know they had any reason to be interested in that product. And so what you do is you spend a bunch of money, and You can't even measure what happened. It's even worse than normal Facebook advertising, which is already a bit of a measurement challenge, as we've talked about in a couple sessions before. But in this case, you're completely blind. You don't know what your conversion rate is. All you know is either I made sales on Amazon or I didn't. Now, there are some actual positive things that come out of this from folks that do a lot of Amazon selling. I'm told that if their product pages are getting more traffic, then that actually helps you with your search rank on Amazon and things like that, being suggested as a related product, and that's fantastic. But if we're going to do it, let's go ahead and spend the money in a slightly more effective way, shall we, so that it gets a greater impact for us. And so let me go to my next diagram here and just zoom that in a notch. Come on, zoom it in a notch. Come on.
You got to get the next diagram first.
Oh, that's right. I have to. I can't do that like I wanted to, can I?
I don't know. I'm not sure what you're trying to do.
I'm trying to trick Google into doing the thing without the Hall of Mirrors, but clearly that's a failure. So I'm going to go ahead and free screen share.
Oh, because you just did share window instead of share full screen, didn't you?
Yeah, and I thought I was going to trick everybody. But as it turns out, no. Here we go. Hall of Mirrors. Bing.
You tricked us. We thought you were really smart. I'm sorry. Did I say that out
loud? Yes, you said that out loud. But it's okay because I know that you meant it as a sincere compliment.
Absolutely.
In a sense.
So now we see your second diagram.
So here's what you might want to do instead, and this is a little bit windy and twisty. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this here. So we are going to run ads on Facebook.
That's
but
good.
What you're going to need is a website, and this does not have to be a giant website. It has to be a pre-selling website. And so on this website, you'd like to, for any product that you're selling on Amazon, you'd like to have a page that talks about it and says, instead of an add to cart, it says buy now on Amazon. Well, why would you want to do that? Well, because you don't have a cart, but also because when you tell people buy now on Amazon, the people that click that are certainly going to be people that are reasonably interested in buying it, right? They may not actually finish the job, but you do have at least a pretty strong indication of interest, what we call in universal traffic engine parlance a qualifying action. Mashing the buy button is a qualifying action. It qualifies someone as a better prospect. But, of course, not everybody is going to do that, and you might not want to start out with ads that send people directly to your website, to a product page on your website, and send people directly to Amazon. What you might want to do instead is come up with some kind of a lead magnet. Now, the interesting thing that's come up in how many of these case studies we're dealing with, and there may be some, I don't know, get rich by selling skincare products.com launch that went on that we don't know about, but there sure seem to be a lot of people that are trying to sell cosmetics and skincare products and either making their own stuff in a few cases or sourcing stuff and putting at least a branded label on it so that it looks different than the same stuff that everybody else is selling because it's got a different branded label on it. By the way, if you're going to do that, do like deep research on the trademark before you go ahead and try and throw a trademark on something because, we've had a couple of folks that we know of that have had to remove their stuff from Amazon because of trademark violations for some trademark they never heard of, but they simply hadn't dug deeply enough into figuring out what was trademarked. So do the research before you put a brand name on something. Leslie, would you agree with that recommendation?
There have been a lot of cases where people had to change their name on stuff because it just ran into problems later. Yeah.
So it was interesting. I was speaking with somebody just earlier this morning that we're working on one of these case studies with, and before they had to change their brand name, which was just recently, they actually 20% of their Amazon sales were repeat buyers, and so that's a pretty good indication, right? That one, selling through Amazon ain't a bad thing. Given the amount of repeat buyers they can bring back, because remember they weren't driving traffic to that in any way themselves. That was simply what was happening natively within Amazon, and they did a lot of work on product descriptions and things like that to get their stuff to rank well on Amazon search, which by the way also if you ever get around to Google search, those same kinds of the same kind of work that you did in making sure that you have rich product descriptions with lots of great images and stuff like that will also help you with Google search. But of course, for that, you're going to need to have a website. So the first phase of the campaign that we like to have people run is to have them run a campaign from Facebook to a website. And so, you know, if you sell skincare products, then some kind of a guide to whatever skincare problem that your skincare products are meant to solve. So, if your skincare product is meant to deal with the horrible shame of shiny nose syndrome, if your product can fix SNS, then well, what you want is some kind of a lead magnet that's the top 5 ways to avoid having a shiny nose, or something like that. And you'll talk about things like, well, make sure that your pillow doesn't have wet paint on it when you sleep, stuff like that. Other tips that. And of course, your 5th tip would involve, make sure that you use a skincare product that has whatever your magic ingredient that you have in your skincare product that makes it magic and different from other skincare products, except for the ones that have the same thing. In a nutshell, what you're trying to do with that is drive people from Facebook with an ad for that lead magnet, get them to your website. Now, here's the cool catch about Facebook. I'm going to go ahead and put this on here for folks to. Free is not equal to free.
Wow, that's deep.
Yes, this is also true with Google AdWords, by the way. Google will also shut you down and can do worse things to you from an AdWords side pretty quickly if they don't like you. If you continue to violate their policies, eventually they just say, go away, you can't advertise anymore. And so this is one of those policies that you don't want to avoid. So you don't want to say, hey, we've got this free manual for making sure that your nose never shines. Don't say free unless it's actually going to be free. But guess what? If you can say free and you do say free, your click-through rate is going to improve. And so do say free. But instead of squeezing for an email, don't. Send them to a landing page where they can download your free report. In fact, what you'd like to have is a download.
Well, so I mean, the whole free thing. So, but so you're okay if you require an opt-in, right?
That's not free.
That's what I was about to get to. Yeah.
You can't say free if you're requiring an opt-in. You can require an opt-in, you just can't say that it's free.
Gotcha.
So you can say, get our white paper, you just can't call it a free white paper. Sign up for, instant registration, instant access. You can say they can have it right away, but you cannot say that it's free. And this is one of those things where what I tell people is, do not look for loopholes. Because do not look at what other people are running. You might see something running on Facebook that blatantly violates this. I'll tell you in a few minutes how people blatantly violate this, and I'll also tell you that that one doesn't have that long to last either. Do not look for loopholes, okay? Just observe the rules and figure out how to succeed within the rules that they have, would be my recommendation. So on that website, we take people to a landing page. We show them persuasive stuff about why they want that free report, and then there is a download button. Now that download button can be right underneath a form that asks them to optionally give their name and email address. As long as those things are clearly labeled as optional, and mashing the download button causes a download to start, I am happy either way. Why? Because one, when they get to this page, okay, I'm going to put them into an audience, a custom audience on Facebook. I can also put them into a custom audience using my Universal Analytics, which with a new website, I am surely running Google Universal Analytics and not some older version. I can add them to a remarketing audience that I can later use for AdWords. In fact, I can use a remarketing list for search ads so that I can only advertise to people that have been to my website and when they search for search terms that matter. So, shiny nose cream. things like that. I can use a remarketing list for search ads. So there's no reason not to turn the audience collection on, even if you don't have a plan for how to use it, because the audiences take time to build up. And of course, you'd rather advertise to people that just saw your website, and you can turn those campaigns on, and you'll spend next to nothing because there's almost no one in your audience. But the other audience that I'm going to put people into, so I'm going to go ahead and put people into AdWords audience just because I can. I'm going to put people into a Facebook audience.
Let's back up a second. Let's back up a second. So the download button. So we have a button below the form, and the fields in the form are optional.
Yes.
So I think there's two questions here. So one is what Ray says: can you say no cost? Which looks like looking for a loophole.
I wouldn't do it. An email address is a cost, man. It ain't free. Don't even try it.
But at the same time, it looks like you've got your own loophole too by putting a form up but not requiring the fields.
Right. It's optional, and the button says download free. So if they push the button that says download free, they get to download it for free. The name and email are optional. And the reason why, well, if you'd like to get updates of this important document, feel free to give us your name and email address, and we'll mail them to you. You can also offer them something else if they give you an email address. So you get 2 copies. Give us your name and email address, and we'll give you a copy for a friend.
We'll give you fatter bits. We'll give you a bigger copy.
We'll give it to you in full color. Whatever. I mean, just give people a reason to actually do that. This isn't about trying to trick people into giving you a name and an email address. And certainly there's no harm in asking, but that download button should just, if there's nothing in those fields, just let people download.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, we're talking about loopholes around the word free, but I mean, it seems like the big loophole is that an email address is not free. I mean, you and I know it has value, but for Google have decided, and Facebook.
Well, by the way, this all started with Google and other ad networks getting banged over the head by European regulators about letting people call stuff free when it requires an email address, because in Europe, privacy is precious. Now, in the United States, obviously, not so much. The government's wanting to just download all of our stuff and read it anytime they want to. But
interesting. Okay.
But basically, and FTC has weighed in on what free is and isn't, and basically any ad network that doesn't want to spend a bunch of time arguing with government regulators all over the world is going to enforce this same rule, which means that some of the loophole networks that people have been using to get these ads onto Facebook are also going to close those loopholes at some point. It is inevitable that Facebook is going to expect their guidelines to be followed by remarketing ads that are funneled to them, and it's just a matter of when, not if. So,
gotcha. Okay.
But if I gave you a name and an email address, great, you've got that too. Now you can send me email. But if I didn't, if I just mashed that download button, well, what happened? Well, when you mash that download button, Google Tag Manager is a great way to implement this, but you can do it in all kinds of JavaScript hackery and whatnot to make it happen. But when that event happens, that someone clicks that download button, wing, we stick them into an audience. And so we're going to add them to an audience on Facebook that says these are people that click the download button. Well, now those people, I can try running ads to those people straight to Amazon, because at this point they've at least heard of my product. But what I'm more likely going to do is send people to my website again, and send them to product pages on my website. And why? Because on that product page that I'm sending people to, it has a buy button that takes people straight to Amazon, and they can buy there. But guess what I can do? If people mash that buy button, I can put them into a different audience that will then send people directly to that product on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do this, understand that what you would have spent trying to do, I think this will work now, trying to do this, what it would have cost to do this to make a sale, you can take that, pour it into this, and you'll probably make just as many sales, but you'll also be building an audience that you can market to. And these tiny custom audiences, that at the beginning, it's going to cost you very little to reach them because there are very few people to reach. Okay, but over time, you'll see the size of the audience build, and as the size of the audience builds, you'll start to be able to produce more and more results. But what's the cool thing that I can do here? If at some point I've decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and stop selling this stuff on Amazon as my primary way to do it. I'll still have Amazon, but all I got to do is change this to add to cart. And oh, by the way, that can still put people into an audience, but where does that audience take them? Right back to my site to take the transaction. So you can actually build your marketing machine and sell entirely on Amazon, and then switch over and push that marketing machine to your website when you've got the volume and proof of concept, and you believe this market is actually worth building out a store and doing all that other merchant accounting stuff about. And all that other grown-up stuff that I have partners like Leslie to deal with because it gives me tirehead in the worst possible way. But you can also, by the way, still continue to use Amazon, and you can fulfill by Amazon.
Right. Indeed. Titus says, what worked for me is video ads with testimonials straight to an Amazon listing. And I think here too, he's not actually getting to build a remarketing audience of people who ended up on
that. And that's a great kind of ad to run, but I would run those ads to, I would at least test running those ads to a website that says buy on Amazon.
And the reason is
you can implement a complete Amazon checkout on your store. Now, they just released their new API thing, which a lot of people that were just using it as a send me money substitute for PayPal aren't very happy about. But they've actually got the ability for you to do the whole transaction on your site and even have it fulfilled by Amazon. The only difference is that you're not sending them to Amazon first.
Wow, nice. Yeah, I think the key here is that let's say that you're going direct to Amazon, okay, and this is like really completely ridiculous that you would be able to do this. Let's say that 50% of people who clicked through actually purchased. Well, that means that 50% did not, and you don't have any way to touch them again.
Well, you have the same way that you reached them before, which is the same Facebook advertising campaign.
Right, but you haven't actually put them in an audience that said, wow, they were really close to buying. How can I push them over the edge?
Yeah, and so you can show different messages and test different messages against different audiences that you have, and you can segment those audiences the larger it gets. So you might have test a pair of videos with women that pushed your shop on Amazon button, or men, the between 50 and 75 that downloaded your white paper. You can start to do a lot of that kind of stuff as the audience grows. In the early stages, though, the biggest thing is I would much rather be adding people to an audience where I can move them kind of up the funnel. And so let me see let me try and find here. I know I've got it in here somewhere.
Well, while you're looking for that, Titus says wrong! Exclamation mark. Okay, that's good. So you can build a retargeting list with video ads
of people that viewed the video, and that's people that it played for a full 3 seconds while they were scrolling past it. So yeah.
Apparently, you still need to get at least 1,000 views within 24 hours. So there's some limits.
Yeah, and it's no better than what you had before. It really, I mean, the video view is 3 seconds. It can happen while they're scrolling past it on their desktop. It can happen.
No, are we talking about? Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't look. Sorry. So the video ads we're talking about here are the Facebook video ads. We're not talking about YouTube. Yeah. Okay, and that's the reason. Yeah, you could build a Facebook audience from that. But yeah, it's this autoplay stuff, and one of our clients tested this and like blew a crap load of money.
Crap load of money.
Yeah, it was
like
terrible.
Enough money to have a gold-plated load of crap.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Custom made, yeah, because you have to get it custom plated. That's not
autographed by Richard Branson.
Probably, yeah, but yeah.
He was selling those for a while.
Yeah, I mean, it probably was. But yeah, so the video ads, I don't know. I mean, Dan, you and I have talked about doing them, but it's like so far our clients.
Well, we've had good luck with video ads. I mean, but the thing is, the video views thing is such a freaking sham statistic. Yeah. I mean, it's just most views, they didn't even see the darned thing. Sorry.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
The gosh dratted thing. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can, but I have not found that to be effective. And if you have found that to be effective, well, I would like to talk to you. So send me an email, dan@marketersbraintrust.com, and let's talk. Maybe I can help you because you will clearly already be helping me. So where were we? So
you were going to go look for something that distracted you.
Yeah, I was going to go look for it, but I don't think I'm going to find it very quickly. But I can actually draw one really fast. See how fast I can draw one?
Yes, we'd love to see how fast you can draw one.
Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate you joining in the fun there.
I assumed if you could do it fast enough, we wouldn't have to answer.
Yeah. So anyway, this will work. So I'll just draw a rectangle in the middle here that says. Oops, no, I want the rectangle to be on the outside. I'm not being fooled by this layers thing. See, people get fooled by this layers thing all the time. And then I draw another one. Oops, I gotta go get the tool again. Draw another one. And so, yeah, that's close enough. So let's just look at this
2 boxes? That's where that's
we're going to draw another one, Leslie. Shut up. Okay.
Patience, Leslie, patience.
So
3 boxes.
So if you look at kind of this outer layer as people that I targeted based on interest. So right there, they're interested in shiny noses, and so I ran ads to them on Facebook. Repeating that over and over and over again might actually make you money, and if it does, you'll make more money if you do a little bit more to launder that. And so get people to take some kind of qualifying action. So get them to click to your website, for example. Well, now I've got a smaller audience of people that I can target, right? And it's probably like smaller by about this much. And that doesn't mean I have to stop that other campaign. But that other campaign is feeding this smaller inner audience, okay, of people that now they've been to my website, right? Mm-hmm. And then I might have an even smaller inner audience on that click
buy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next audience out might be clicked to product.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so, right, you're not going to stop feeding that from the outside because, your audience on Facebook is good for like 6 months and then they'll drop out of it unless they join the audience again. But you'll still be able to go after them through the larger outer campaign. But if they clicked and took some qualifying action, like they clicked through to your website, wouldn't you rather be able to re-advertise to the people that had clicked after watching your video, clicked over to Amazon, and didn't buy, right? Because it's not going to be 50% conversion rate that goes to Amazon, right? I mean, you might be profitable, but again, if you could take people that clicked over there and they didn't buy it right then, does that mean they didn't want to buy it? No. If you could send them back several times, twice as many will buy it. I mean, everybody has proven this in a million different ways, right? That repetition helps. And so if you could get those people to a place where you can actually put them into an audience based on what action they took and where they clicked, then you're one step closer. And you can actually have multiple layers of this, right? So you might have a layer that's just getting people to a lead magnet, right? A free report, something like that, and then clicked, buy or add to cart or check price or shop at Amazon or whatever the case may be. You're going to sell a higher percentage of the people that are in this little bitty inner audience than you are of the people in this outer audience and of the people in this farther out audience. But what happens over time is that this one gets bigger, this one gets bigger, right? This outer one doesn't really get bigger that much, right? There's only so many ways that you can target people based on interest, and there's only so much you're going to be willing to burn on that. And it's amazing what you can do with good advertising. But, right, I mean, being able to run this directly and turn a profit, like I said, you can turn a profit doing this. But what you're missing is the opportunity to get people into audiences, and to get people into audiences that go not just on Facebook, right, but you can follow them through the Google Display Network to multiple websites. You can follow them as they travel all around the web and all around the world. Facebook is cool because of the nature of the audiences they have. Is you've got people that are logged in. It's not based on a cookie. It's based on an actual login, which means that if you show me your Facebook ad on your phone, on my phone, not on your phone. It'd be weird if it was on your phone and I was standing next to you and it was like, hey, look at this ad, because you'd probably be the one that was logged in. But I'm logged in on my phone. I mash that link. I go to your website. I click to get the white paper. Guess what happens? I'm in a custom audience now, and you can show ads to me on my desktop.
Right.
And whenever Facebook gets around to deciding they want to put Google out of the display advertising business, you'll be able to follow people around the entire web using Facebook. They've started doing that with mobile, by the way, but they haven't opened it up full throttle. But Google is doomed. Sell all of your Google stock. Actually, don't sell all of your Google stock, because they've pretty much got a bulletproof business with search for,
yeah, for a while.
10 years. But still, and don't buy Facebook until they announce this, because I bet it's 50-50 that the stock goes down after they announce that they're going to take over display advertising. Everybody's like, that doesn't make sense. Google already does that. And they sell Facebook, that's when you buy. So pounce post stupid, not pre-stupid, because then you're the stupid one. So, so this is just, it's not going to make a difference early on. Right, early on, it's going to be about the same whether you send them direct to Amazon or you send them direct to your website. But over time, it's going to make a huge difference. And by the way, if you just never did this at all, right, and you just did this whole thing I just talked about here, this is entirely applicable even if you have your own store and you don't sell any products on Amazon, or if all you do is information products and you don't sell any physical anything at all, or all you do is generate leads, etc. Does that make sense?
Well, in fact, I mean, this really gets kind of the one of the things that we keep harping about in with our e-commerce clients, is that the problem, frankly, one of the biggest problems with their stores is it's still just a store. And so they're working on the one and done. And so, without the remarketing aspects and the ability to do follow-up, again, either remarketing or email or something, right? Without the follow-up, you're working on the one and done. So if they love you the first time you hit, you win. If they don't, they have to think about it. You got to find some way to, get another impression. And, remarketing, you don't have to ask for an email.
Yeah, and you didn't need an email address. I mean, right, what's an email address good for? Sending email. I mean, right, I'd love to have an email address to send you email, but the only other thing that an email address is good for is creating a custom audience. But, hello, you were logged in, you came to my page, you clicked and you downloaded, and now you're in an audience anyway. So I didn't need to get that email address to do it. It's nice to have, but it's not necessary to have. And in fact, over time you actually get to a place where your math is good enough that you say, you know what, I don't even want to ask for an email address here, because I get more people into my download audience if I don't even hint that I might want an email address. Put like just a big download button that's the size of the whole screen, where all they have to do is click it. But somebody test that. It probably won't work. So your entire investment is at risk, but that's why I haven't tested it. So I wanted to put a couple things just kind of to wrap up on that, because I mentioned, building audiences for other networks, and one of the things that has come up a couple times is whether we want to use AdRoll and Perfect Audience, which are two of the better known, but there are any number of other networks now that have access to essentially the same platforms and ability to distribute ads. But AdRoll and Perfect Audience, when you see ads that violate Facebook's rules, a lot of the time they are coming through AdRoll and Perfect Audience. So, for example, Andrea did this ridiculous test where we did like 80% text Facebook ad, but we ran it through AdRoll. And of course it didn't get stopped by Facebook because Facebook didn't review it. We did that as a test. That's not a loophole that I would attempt to exploit or try to build a business around exploiting it. Again, just figure out how to be profitable within the rules, because then you can just continue to repeat that and nobody's going to come and step on you in the middle of you shopping for a yacht. Right, but but you can use you can put people into basically as many audiences as you want to. You have to be careful the way you implement the code, because you don't want to, as we saw with one site last week, where there's some kind of network code that's loading before the CSS, and so the page is unusable until they've got all their retargeting pixels loaded, and you don't want to do that. But you can put people into the AdWords, the Google audience, just with analytics, and that's just a feature you turn on in your analytics control panel once you've got Universal Analytics up and running. If you're using Tag Manager, you can put people into audiences for perfect audience, which they'll still give you like $100 credit when you sign up. AdRoll, which no longer gives a credit, but they actually have some cool features. But you can put ads into Twitter, you can put ads into LinkedIn. And not just Facebook. You can put ads all over the place with these different networks, and it does not hurt you to build an audience, because you cannot use the audience until you've built it, and they do take time to build up, right? It takes time to put people into them. But the more of that you do, the more people you're going to catch. So you're not going to get a lot of people into a Facebook audience by sending traffic from other places, because they're not logged into Facebook all the time. It might be 10, 15, 20, 30%. If it, 30% would be pretty high. The rest of them, Facebook's not going to have any way to tie them to a person, because Facebook doesn't do the kind of stuff that Google does with cookies to try and keep track of you. Facebook just keeps track of you when you're logged in, and only really the fact that you're you and you're logged in. They don't even care where you are at this point.
Right. Or which device you're on.
Yeah, they really don't care, other than when you're on Facebook, what ads are going to show you is based on the device you're on sometimes. But Facebook is not doing the kind of tracking of people that Google does, which may be why they haven't actually rolled out display ads. So.
Yeah. That happened at our household this week. I was searching on my laptop for something, and then I went to Facebook, and then came to, Facebook on my other desktop computer, and Toy said, well, wait a minute, that ad, wait, you're on a different machine. Why are you getting that ad? I was like, because Facebook knows everything, apparently. So,
when you're logged in.
So when you're logged in, but right.
Facebook knows that you're you when you're logged in, and that's the unique thing about the platform. Really.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and it makes you could.
Yeah.
I don't think you could call that evil. You did log in.
I was logged in. No, listen, I love marketing. I hate marketing. We click the little button that says, I agree, right? Yep. And then we share our personal details. We log in. We do our thing. But so do all the people we want to do business with, and yay them, because then that gives us a reason to be in business still.
But again, if you want to understand why Google+, what did Google need? They needed a bunch of people to be logged in.
Exactly.
And they weren't logged in, and so cookies don't work between the phone and the desktop. The cookie goes away because it's only on the phone.
Right.
It's only on the desktop. They needed to have people logged in.
Logged in.
And they've just basically failed at getting enough people to do that, even with giving away phones and everything else that they've done, which, I don't know, there is no Sherman Act anymore, Leslie, but
No.
I don't know. That's not possible. I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, that's the reason. I mean, Google Apps is basically the free line to get you to log in. So, for those of us who use Google Mail and Google Calendar and all that, right? So we're logged in all the time.
Well, the Google OK Google Now thing on the Android phones. Can somebody confirm? You don't really have to say OK Google Now when you want to search, right? It's not that dumb, is it?
I don't know. I don't have a Google phone.
Yeah, I don't either. It's just I heard that and it didn't sound right.
Yeah, maybe. All right, cool.
So so that's how to break the rules on Facebook until you can't anymore, and don't try it, because you don't want to have all your accounts shut down. You don't want to be banished from every network. Just live in the rules. It works. You can make money at it.
Well, I think the real message here is don't try to operate a business one and done. I mean, so for those of you who are in e-commerce, Well, actually, first of all, for everybody, if you don't have remarketing turned on, well, just
Do
go through
that.
that, because that would be like leaving it off is the opposite of smart. So
You
that's the
don't
first
have to
thing.
use it. You don't
No,
have to spend
not
any
yet.
money, but just turn it
On
on,
the
build the
audience.
audience so that you can see what it looks like. How many people could I run ads to?
Yep.
Right.
At least turn it on. You don't have to use it. Doesn't cost you anything to build the audience. The other thing is that if you do not have, if you sell stuff on your website, whatever it is, I don't care if it's a nickel product or physical product or whatever it is, and you do not have a non-money call to action, that is to say, some way that I can allow you to get in touch with me via email, even though I'm not ready to buy yet. So I go, wow, that's some cool stuff. Not ready yet, but this is interesting. Let me get that. And it's free. Free means just an email. If you don't have that opt-in item or that opt-in bait, you're
Yep.
you're losing money. I'm
And
sorry.
you can recover a little bit more of it now than you could a few years ago, right? Because we do all of these different ways to build remarketing audiences, but still, right? It's
So,
give them an opportunity to give you an email address. I remember, Leslie, I don't know if I think you were at the event, surely, but you may not have actually been there for the conversation with David Bullock. When he was telling me about the first time that he had a retail, but he said, we're not going to run ads to your product pages anymore. We're going to run ads to an opt-in page. And they didn't want to do it.
out. Yeah,
And
they
they
thought he
freaked
was
out.
clean. Yeah.
But he did the math on what they were doing, and 1 or 2% conversion, and started getting 80% opt-in rate, and they started selling more off the emails that they were getting. And it was just a, hey, give us your email. It was a squeeze page for a discount coupon.
Mm.
And those don't work quite as well as they used to, but they also aren't as necessary as they used to be because, again, we can immediately recycle people into remarketing audiences. And it's just a matter of, if you don't know why you want Google Tag Manager, as a retailer, Google Tag Manager allows you to put tags on your products that match up with your Google shopping feed so that you can show shopping ads to people as they're traveling around the web. Yeah, you want to do that. And the same thing, so that's one of the nice things that you can do with Perfect Audience and AdRoll too, is do these product ads inside of Facebook for people that have viewed your products. And again, it's something that you're not going to spend a lot of money on the advertising because you're not putting a ton of people into that audience on any given day. But the people that you're putting into that audience are people that were 2 clicks away from buying.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, that's right. And at the very least, I mean, it's reach tells, frequency sells. The more touches you have with a person, the much higher likelihood that they would be able to sell them.
Yeah, and without remarketing, it is largely one and done. I mean, right? You might catch the same person with the same ad again because you've got them in the same general audience, but it's costing you more than it should to reach them, and you're not able to show them a differentiated message based on the fact that they already know you. So Sean's question, that is called Google Tag Manager. It's kind of a companion released along with Universal Analytics. You don't need Tag Manager to use Universal Analytics, but Tag Manager is an incredibly powerful tool that lets you fire any kind of code that you want to based on an event. So someone submits an opt-in, you can do something. If somebody clicks a download button or clicks a link, there are so many things that you can do with it that you don't need Google Tag Manager inside of your checkout funnel. That's just Universal Analytics. But through your store, all the product pages, the product listing pages, the categories, everything else, you'd really like to have that stuff tagged up so you can put people into remarketing audiences.
Well, I mean, actually, we've used it at GTM. We've actually used it in the checkout funnel or to instrument things, which we could not do in the cart.
Right, so that you can figure out somebody, they got as far as typing in the zip code for the shipping, but then they found out, holy cow, it's $43 to ship this $13 item.
Or how often are they checking this button or that button? How often are they removing something from the cart? Or how often?
Yeah.
Right. There's any number of things you can do. That you'd have to add events. You'd have to actually go in and edit the code on the page and do an event. Where in Google Tag Manager, it's kind of like the one ring that rules them all. And so with that one piece of code on the page, once you have that, you can, outside of the actual content management system, you can use code that is identified. Basically, I can take JavaScript and attach it to a piece on the checkout page based upon like an HTML ID or a class or something like that.
And you only had to add that tag manager code once, and then you can do all this other stuff without having to screw around on the site. You just screw around inside of the tag manager.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing. The combination of Google Tag Manager and something like Convert.com, you can basically do anything you want to with a page, as long as you can understand the JavaScript and the CSS you need. There's some incredible capabilities there, and you basically, to a large extent, divorced yourself or unhitched yourself from the need to have whatever IT department or vendor is running your shopping cart.
Well, someone still has to understand the stuff well enough, but it is right. You don't need to get this giant team of people involved to stick code on a page anymore, and you don't have to have quite that worry about if this breaks and then everybody's gone home, what happens? Well, you can, if you've done something dumb in Tag Manager, you can just remove it and it goes away. So you can. You can use it and test it. So Eric mentions, Infusionsoft used to say that it takes 7 times to get someone to finally buy. That's one of those kind of old sayings in direct response marketing. We used to see our email response peak when there wasn't anything but email marketing or buying freaking banner ads when you have to outbid the Punch the Monkey guys. 20 years ago, but email, third or fourth mail is when you're probably going to get the highest volume of sales. But it really doesn't start to die off until you get way down into the sequence, 7, 8, or 9 emails in, where you start to see it really kind of I really don't need my autoresponder sequence to go any longer than that. I can just wait a month and start it over again. Which is what I used to do.
Well, flip it to a nurturing sequence, but yeah, something give them content to stay keep.
Well, that's what the autoresponder sequences were back in the day, Leslie. Back in the day, it was a mini course.
Yeah,
that was the only kind of thing you could opt in for, was a free mini course.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Free 7-day email training on this, how to buy widgets.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah,
those were the good old days.
Yeah, so
we didn't have Tag Manager and any of this other cool stuff, so not as much.
And by the way, with Tag Manager, you can drop the remarketing code into Tag Manager. The only thing that you cannot put into Tag Manager is A/B split testing code, and that's just because of the synchronous first trace against nature of the way the code works. And so, if you add role is one of the selections, I think there's a couple others in there in terms of just drop-down selections within Google Tag Manager.
Right, all you got to do is just put in your little account ID, and it's already
done.
Figured out.
And so, it's one of the easy things to do if you let's say you have Google Analytics on your page. I hope that's true, by the way. And you don't have remarketing on your page. Well, okay. Should you go to the trouble to put remarketing on your page, or here's another approach: go to the trouble to put Google Tag Manager on your page, pull off the analytics code, set up Google Tag Manager, do both the analytics and the remarketing code, and boom, you're set up. You're finally in the modern era.
Yeah, and to be in the modern era times 2, you can have Google Analytics code on the page and Google Tag Manager delivering Google Analytics code on the page.
You're going to double count.
Really. Yeah, so don't be double modern age. If you're going to put it into Google Tag Manager, then you take it out of the other places where it might have been.
Yeah, exactly, and that's key. We've actually had people do this wrong. In fact, I'm going to tell you here first, the new ebook I'm going to write, which is how to instantly double your traffic. All you really have to do is put 2 copies of the Google Analytics code on your page. It works 100% of the time.
Yeah, well, you can get twice as many conversions that way too, which is what's really impressive. You're not just doubling your traffic.
You're doubling your conversion too, and your conversion rate stays the same. It's true.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. Okay. For many small business owners, they are temporary, so it's this immediately can be implemented by those only. Yes, absolutely. So Terry asked, how hard is GTM to implement? That's what he's actually saying. It's as easy to implement as Google Analytics in terms of putting the code. The code is just a snippet of JavaScript.
Most platforms have a plugin that you can use to do it. Nowadays, unless you're on, probably Volusion probably doesn't, because they'll want you to pay them $5,000 for custom development to do the same thing they've done for everybody else. But
yeah, and I don't know that there's actually one for WordPress, for example. I haven't actually looked for one. It's really easy to drop the code on the page.
a bunch of them for WordPress, but again, yeah, it's not actually that hard to do.
And then you just have to learn Google Tag Manager. Now, we actually did, if there's a Terry I'm thinking of, you actually probably have access to that. Oh, maybe you do. I'm not sure where we put that content now that I think about it. Never mind. I forgot I said that. So we are, one of these days, we'll actually, maybe we should do that next week.
Let's do that next week.
Let's do an intro to Google Tag Manager.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Let's do GTM next week. I already have that stuff prepared. And so it's really simple to do, to get the code on the page. Then you have to figure out GTM. And there's some really cool stuff in GTM, but there's some stuff that'll trip you up, like if you forget to publish. I'll do that.
Something simple like that.
So yeah, I'll walk everyone through it. I've done it like several times at this point. Really straightforward, and it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful technology. Once you really kind of get it, grok it, you'll wonder why you waited so long. So next week we'll do.
Why we not think of this before?
Why we not, indeed. Yeah. Okay, do we have any closing? Let's see, what are we talking about, Willis? Let me see that code. Okay, right. Does that double revenue hit the bank? No, that's
the only problem with the strategy is you don't actually get twice as much revenue.
I'm still working on that part. So the only thing I can think of is actually what you do is you double the traffic and revenue on your site, and then you flip it on.
We could use those guys that built that Pearl cart for us at that other place, and they could probably do a cron job that would double the revenue.
We could do that.
We could chargebacks, yes.
So anyway. But it's an interesting point. I mean, it's an easy way to fake analytics. So those of you who are buying websites, I'll share analytics with you. Yeah, okay, great. Anyway, just saying. It can be faked. Oh, jeez. Anyway, all right. So I think that's a wrap for today. Closing comments, gang?
No, I don't. I mean, there's all kind of cool stuff happening, so keep paying attention.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Cool things do happen sometimes. When you do stuff, sometimes cool stuff happens.
So next Tuesday we'll talk about Google Tag Manager, and that way y'all can get started on that path. I mean, Universal Analytics has some cool stuff too. So maybe we all have one of those presentation about the difference between GA and UA. The conversion to GA and UA is really simple. That's a push button and wait a few minutes. But then, making use of it, there's some cool stuff in UA, and I think probably Dan is going to talk about that, so maybe we do that the week after or not. But anyway, so great. Thanks, everybody, for hanging in here and asking your questions. And we will see you next week. Same back time, same back channel. I don't think that's trademarked anymore. And we'll talk about Google Tag Manager. Thanks, everyone.
Fantastic. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.